The Bahamas remain one of our favorite cruising destinations. While we're having our new southerly 480 built, we wanted to share with you some of our television shows about voyages we've made. In this case, our visit to the remotest of the Bahamas with our 3-foot draft southerly 42. Thank you to Pantaneous Yacht Insurance, who have insured Distant Shores since 1996, and for their support bringing you these Distant Shores classic videos. The Bahamas stretch for almost 500 miles from Florida past Cuba to almost Haiti and the Dominican Republic. This time we're exploring some of the most remote of these islands as we visit French Wells and Long Key in the Crooked Acklins Atoll, then across the channel to Long Island. Here we go on to the Great Bahama Bank at Dollar Harbour and then on to Georgetown, the largest settlement in the southern Bahamas.
The western coast of Crooked Island is quite exposed to the prevailing winds, but in calm conditions it's possible to anchor off the beautiful beach that extends for miles along this now deserted shoreline. In 1783, American loyalists settled here, bringing with them slaves, and started a short-lived cotton industry. At the turn of the 19th century, there were around 50 operational plantations in the Crooked Acklins district. But the blight in the 1820s destroyed the economy, and plantation owners left to build their fortunes elsewhere. Today, most of the natives support themselves through simple fishing and farming. We're making landfall at Crooked Island at French Wells, so named for the well found here at the point.
Supposed to be some nice hiking along these trails here, so maybe we can do that as an activity later.
French Wells is also one of the main entrances to the Bight of Acklins, an area of shallow water in the center of the Crooked Acklins Atoll that extends for 1,000 square miles and is rich with marine life. The surrounding mangroves are home to numerous birds, and one of the activities we're looking forward to here is exploring the mangrove creeks by dinghy. The nearest settlement is a half-hour dinghy ride away through this dredged cut, but the harbor here offers good protection for visiting yachts, since the surrounding sandbars break any building's seas. Although we're intentionally beaching our shallow draft sailboat here on the bar, there's 10-foot depth in the anchorage, making it a good harbor for most visiting cruisers.
The current runs quickly through this cut, but shortly after low tide there is slack water. This will be my best chance to take a look at the undersea life here. One of the most unusual animals I have ever seen. Called a sea hare, since he has what optimistically looks like 2 ears. They're actually closer to a nose, since the purpose of these 2 organs is smell. The sea hare looks like a slug, but is actually related to our friend the conch, another gastropod, but instead of the big shell, the sea hare has only a tiny remnant of a shell on his back. Isn't nature amazing? A nearby crab with his eyes just out of the sand scuttles off when I approach.
Now we want to explore the surrounding mangroves, which are also full of life. The boat is securely beached and anchored, so we head off in the dinghy for an afternoon outing through the mangrove creeks. Mangroves are found only in tropical and subtropical regions such as the Bahamas. They are forests or communities of trees and shrubs that grow in saltwater areas and are known as island builders. Mangroves are responsible for expanding the islands in the Bahamas, starting by sending their penetrating roots out into the sea. The maze of prop roots on these red mangrove plants slows down the currents, causing tiny suspended particles to sink to the bottom, turning the sand to mud. Soon leaves fall, become trapped, then decay, mixing with the sandy mud, creating a rich sediment into which seagrasses begin to grow. Roots spring from brown cone-shaped fruit, which feed the roots until they can penetrate the moist soil below. often a long way down. In about 3 years, the plant has created many prop roots, which become nurseries for sea turtles, fish, and other reef creatures. In about 5 years, barring a hurricane, the sediment is thick enough to support the next succession of plant life. The black mangrove plants begin to invade, followed by other species of trees, which host a variety of bird life.
This is cool. This is a black mangrove, and the mangroves live always in the low areas, and they need water, of course, but that's salt water. So you're drinking salt water, you don't want too much salt, and what they do is they secrete the salt out through their leaves. So they're all sort of covered in stuff. Yep, nice sea salt. And all the leaves are covered with it here. From the Crooked Island archipelago, we head west to Long Island and on to the Great Bahama Bank at Dollar Harbour. Here, the shallow water stretches for hundreds of miles, almost to Florida.
We just arrived at the end of Long Island, and we're seeing a sperm whale.
Sperm whales are the largest living toothed animal.
Wow, fantastic!
Adult males can grow to 67 feet, or about 20 meters in length.
Sperm whale, never expected that here.
This sperm whale is about the size of our boat and isn't staying around to visit. Seems there's lots of interesting things to see in this remote body of water in the Bahamas, including this old-style wooden sailboat en route to Nassau from Haiti. Engineless cargo-carrying fishing sloops like this one are still used there and are often seen in the Bahamas.
By lunchtime, we notice a dramatic change in the color of the water as we sail on to the shallow water of the Great Bahama Bank. Swimming pool blue replaces the dark sapphire blue we were seeing earlier in the day when we were sailing in deep water. Now we have to keep an eye on the depth, which at the moment is about 15 feet or 5 meters. But as we approach Dollar Harbour, there are coral heads to avoid. Fortunately, the water in the Bahamas is so clear they're easy to spot as distinct dark patches against the sand bottom. Still, it's a good idea to have someone stationed up at the bow with eyes peeled to keep a good lookout. Isn't this water amazing? We're stopping at Dollar Key tonight. There's big distances between the islands. It's quite an isolated spot, so it should be pretty interesting. In this area that's drying out, you can see little mangroves starting to form, just from single stalks and then multiplying.
Just learning a little bit about the boat, playing with the shallow capabilities by lifting the keel up. One of the tricks, it's like having a four-wheel drive. You can get your car stuck in places no one could ever come and get you out of. So the idea here is we can be a bit more self-sufficient by leaving the keel a little bit down. So that way if we do hit the sand, we just hit with the keel, which we can raise and back off again. It's like having a safety valve. So I've just left it down here. Now this looks like a pretty shallow spot. Got a bar up ahead. I thought we could go up into this forward area, but I don't think even the lift keel will get us over this. Nice thing about this kind of sailing is you can navigate. You don't need any buoys or anything floating in the water. You can just look at the color and determine, since that part looks like it's over 2.5, 3 meters deep, we can go there, but this looks like it's only about 1 and a bit meters or 1 meter deep. So instead of trying to get over that, we'll go around the corner. Pretty cool place. Nobody else around. In fact, we haven't seen any boats for a couple days except that fishing sloop. Amazing, like a thing out of the past. So this harbor is absolutely beautiful. We'll take the dinghy and see if we can explore some of these creeks around here. You can really get out and explore in a deserted world. Who would have thought it? No Wi-Fi, no internet, no nothing. Man, the currents running through here are something else. I think that's what's really causing the formation of all these islands. The tide comes in about so much, less than a meter, bringing this warm water up onto the banks, and then that precipitates out the calcium carbonate, which is the sand. And we've got lots of it here. This whole area is alive. We've got nurse sharks swimming, we've got mangroves growing, pink flamingos wandering, all kinds of bird life. There's crabs and everybody. Who knows what's in all this stuff here. It is really a gorgeous spot. And there's just miles of it to explore. From Dollar Harbour, we enter onto the Great Bahama Bank as we head to Georgetown. Shallow water for the next 25 miles. Oh, it's a lot of fun learning to sail around in these incredible shallow waters. Couldn't ask for a more fun thing to do on a gorgeous sunny day.
On the Great Bahama Bank, you can sail for miles in depths ranging no more than 9 to 20 feet, or about 3 to 6 meters. Occasionally, you have to dodge areas of reef or isolated coral heads, as well as shoal patches. But keeping a careful watch is pure pleasure as you cross this incredibly blue water.
Well, I'm going to take a look. We've got into really shallow water here. It's only a few feet deep. I'm just going to go and take a look at the keel because I'm trying to figure out how the depth sounder is set to make sure that we know when the depth sounder says 1 meter or whatever, if we're about to run aground. So, it's nice, isn't it? Yeah, I can stand on the bottom. Yeah, we're floating with about that much underneath the keel, but the keel's down a little bit. So that means that we just have to remember with 3 dots off the keel on the display, that means that we're going to be okay in 1.2 meters of water. With the keel down, the boat needs 9 feet of water to float. That's 2.7 meters. So in the shallow water, we bring the keel most of the way up, leaving just a bit down as insurance. In case we run aground, we would be able to lift it and pull off. So, this water just continues forever like this. Up here, it's something like 80 miles in this kind of water to Nassau. Back here, we've just come 15 or so miles from Long Island, and it's like a great, huge friggin' swimming pool.
As we complete our passage across this corner of the Great Bahama Bank, our next navigational challenge is Hog Key Cut. This narrow cut on our route to Georgetown separates the island of Little Exuma from Hog Key, but at low water has barely 3 feet or less than a meter of depth and a hard rocky bottom. For safety, we've timed our arrival just before high water slack tide, so we have improved depth and minimal current. Although Distant Shores is a shallow draft sailboat, we don't want to risk being pushed onto dangerous rocky ground by the strong current that can rush through here when the tide is racing. It's a bit of a zigzag coming through the cut, but with the sun behind us and the clear Bahamian water, we can see the deep water route quite clearly. Safely through, it's just a few more hours to our destination, Georgetown on Great Exuma. After being in the small settlements of the quiet Bahamian Out Islands, Georgetown feels like a metropolis, but it's a bustling community of just over 1,000 people. It's the commercial center of the Exuma Island Group, with numerous shops and services helpful to visiting sailors, so a good place to stop for a while.
Across the harbour is Stocking Island and the Chat and Chill Beach Bar. We go ashore to chat and find the bar patrons making new friends in the shallows.
Yeah, you can always see them smiling.
What are we looking for today? Jeremy tells me the stingray first came to the beach when fishermen were cleaning conch for the restaurant. Now one will show up whenever he sees someone come near the water. You think you can smell it if you hold it out in your hand? Look at him, he's in like 4 inches of water.
Neat.
Hey, buddy.
He's the one that came up and nudged my foot. Yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Big old stingray comes and sniffs your toes. The stingray's main defense mechanism is his sharp, venomous tail. Although a number of people are injured by them every year, it is thought they only attack if threatened.
It's amazing. They're like it's like velvet. Yeah.
Oh man, he is soft.
Yeah, they are, aren't they?
Hey, sport. Oh, that's so neat. Hey there, buddy. That's my foot. That's a pretty big thrill to stand in the water and have a ray come up and go furry all over your feet. It feels like softest velvet. If you're hoping to sail the Bahamas, please jump in with comments below. Now that we're having a new shallow draft southerly 480 built, we're planning another visit to these beautiful islands. Thanks again to Pantanius Yacht Insurance, who have insured Distant Shores since 1996, and for their support bringing you these Distant Shores classic videos. Please give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe for upcoming videos.